Let me tell you something most people don't want to admit. Once you cross 60, the world changes. You wake up one day and realize that the rhythm of life around you has shifted. The phone rings less often. Your children have their own families, their own careers, their own battles. The familiar buzz of daily responsibilities fades, and suddenly, you're left facing a quieter home, a slower pace, and a truth that settles deep in the chest. Family, as much as we love them, cannot always be your strongest support system anymore. Not because they don't care, but because life pulls them in different directions. That is why, after 60, it becomes more vital than ever to recognize the 6 pillars of support that are stronger than family. These are the foundations that will hold you up, the lifelines that will guide you toward health, peace, and purpose. The first pillar is your own body. I know that sounds strange. You might think, "Doctor, my body's falling apart. How can it be a pillar?" But listen carefully. Your body, no matter how worn it feels, is still your most immediate and dependable ally. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that older adults who engage in consistent, moderate physical activity experience a 40% lower risk of disability. Not just a reduced risk of death, a reduced risk of losing independence. When you move, you tell your body, "I still need you." Simple walking, stretching, strength training with light weights, these are not luxuries, they are medicine. The National Institute on Aging confirms that muscle loss after 60 accelerates rapidly without resistance training. And yet, with just 20 minutes a day of basic movements, that decline can be slowed, even reversed. Your body may not be the body of a 30-year-old anymore, but it is still listening, still responding, still capable of supporting you if you give it the chance. The second pillar is your mind. After 60, the brain becomes a quiet battleground. Memory slips, words hide, emotions become more tender. But studies from the University of California show that cognitive decline is not inevitable. In fact, seniors who challenge their minds daily through reading, puzzles, music, or language learning show increased neural connectivity. That's right. The brain forms new pathways even in old age. What does that mean for you? It means that your mind can still grow, still learn, still adapt. Loneliness may knock on the door, but a stimulated brain shuts that door quickly. When you nourish your intellect, when you stay curious, you are building an internal source of strength that cannot be taken away. This is not about being clever, it's about staying present, staying awake to life. The third pillar is your sense of purpose. After retirement, after the children have moved out, after the big milestones are behind you, what gives your life meaning? This question is not philosophical, it is biological. A 2019 study in the journal JAMA Network Open found that older adults with a strong sense of purpose had a 25% lower risk of dying during the study period than those who did not. Purpose, my dear friend, is not abstract. It is linked to health, to immunity, to brain function. Maybe you find purpose in volunteering, or mentoring, or gardening, or writing letters to those you love. Whatever it is, do it often. Do it with your heart. Let purpose become your North Star, something you reach for every day, something that reminds you that your time is still valuable, your presence still matters. The fourth pillar is friendship, not casual acquaintances, not people who only remember you during the holidays, but real friendships, the kind where you can share your fears, your stories, your laughter. Studies from Brigham Young University have shown that strong social relationships increase longevity by 50%. That's more than the benefits of quitting smoking. That's more than the impact of regular exercise. Connection with others heals. It soothes. It builds a bridge between isolation and vitality. Call someone today. Rekindle an old friendship. Join a local group. Attend a book club. Go to your local community center and look someone in the eye. That one conversation could be the anchor you didn't know you needed. Your family may love you, but friends are the ones who often walk beside you in the details of daily life when your children are miles away. Friendships in later life are not optional. They are essential medicine for the soul. The fifth pillar is your attitude toward aging itself. Let me tell you a truth that most people don't hear often enough. Aging is not a curse. It is not a slow fading. It is a different kind of strength. A 2002 Yale study followed older adults over 23 years and discovered that those with a positive view of aging lived 7.5 years longer than those with a negative perspective. That's not fiction, that's science. How you talk about aging, how you see your wrinkles, how you approach your changing pace, it matters more than you think. When you say to yourself, "I am still growing," the body listens. The immune system responds. The heart beats differently. You are not becoming less. You are becoming more whole, more aware, more deeply alive. But only if you accept this season of life with grace, not defeat. The sixth and final pillar is your spiritual life. I am not just talking about religion, though that may be part of it for you. I am talking about a sense of connection to something bigger than yourself, a feeling that life still holds mystery, beauty, meaning. A landmark study published in the Gerontologist Journal revealed that older adults with a regular spiritual practice had better emotional regulation, less depression, and improved physical health. Spirituality, whatever form it takes for you, gives your life shape. It helps you carry grief. It helps you process change. It reminds you that there is something beyond your aches and appointments and pills. Whether you find it in prayer, in meditation, in nature, or in silence, hold on to it, feed it. Let it comfort you when words fall short. Now I know that some of you may be thinking, "But doctor, isn't family still important?" Of course it is. The love of children and grandchildren is a blessing. But it is not always steady. Children have their own burdens, their own limitations, and sometimes, through no fault of their own, they cannot be there for you the way you imagine. If you tie your entire sense of well-being to their presence or approval, you may find yourself often disappointed. These 6 pillars I have shared with you, your body, your mind, your purpose, your friendships, your attitude, your spiritual life, these are within your reach, within your control, and they do not disappear when someone forgets to call. They do not vanish when someone moves away. They stand strong even when life feels uncertain. Let me share a story. I once had a patient named Maria. She was 74 when I first met her. Her husband had passed. Her children lived across the country. She lived alone. But when she walked into my office, she stood tall. She laughed often. She had a sparkle in her eye. I asked her one day, "Maria, what's your secret?" And she said, "I stopped waiting for someone else to make me feel whole." She walked every morning. She led a knitting circle at the community hall. She volunteered at the library. She wrote letters to her grandchildren every week, even when they didn't always write back. She meditated every evening, and she never spoke poorly about her age. That woman lived with more light in her than many people half her age. You see, Maria had built her pillars. They held her up when no one else could. They reminded her of her strength, her worth, her joy. So if you are listening to this and you are past 60 or 70 or even 80, let me tell you with all the truth in my heart, it is not too late. You are not too old, you are not forgotten, and you are not dependent on anyone else for your sense of fulfillment. You can begin today with one walk, one phone call, one prayer, one deep breath, and slowly these 6 pillars will rise beneath you, quietly, powerfully, steadily, and when the world grows quiet, when the family is busy, when the future feels uncertain, you will still be standing. You will still have your foundation, and you will not just survive, you will thrive, because the support you have built, the support you have chosen, will be stronger than anything you ever expected, stronger than family, stronger than fear, stronger than age. So hold on to these truths. Let them root deeply into your days and know, with every cell of your being, that life after 60 is not the end. It is a sacred chapter. And you are the author. Write it boldly, write it wisely, write it with love. Which of these 6 pillars is the weakest in your life right now? Let me ask you something that might stir something deep within you. Out of the 6 pillars we spoke about, your body, your mind, your sense of purpose, your friendships, your attitude toward aging, and your spiritual life, which one feels weakest in your life right now? Take a breath. Sit with that question, because this is not just a question, it is a mirror, and sometimes the answers that show up are hard to look at. But that's exactly where healing begins. You see, most people don't pause long enough to even ask themselves this. They keep moving through the motions, doing what they've always done, until one day something breaks down, not just physically, but emotionally or spiritually, and they wonder how it happened so quietly. Now let me tell you this. Weakness in one pillar does not mean you are failing. It simply means that something in your life is asking for more attention, more care, more love, and the first step is to see it clearly. Let's walk through each one again, slowly, gently, because the answer will likely come not with a shout, but with a quiet ache that says, "This is where I've been hurting." Your body might be telling you stories right now that you've been trying not to hear. Stiff joints, shortness of breath, fatigue that comes faster than it used to. According to a study by the National Institute on Aging, only 35% of adults over 60 meet the recommended physical activity guidelines. That means nearly 2 out of 3 people are letting their muscles grow weaker. Their bones lose density, their balance fade, all because they've convinced themselves that slowing down is normal. It may be common, but it is not necessary. If your body is the weakest pillar right now, it is not because you're old. It's because you stopped asking it to rise. Or maybe it's your mind that feels like it's slipping. You walk into a room and forget why. You struggle to recall names that used to come so easily. You hesitate when telling a story, wondering if you've already told it. A research article published in the journal Neurology found that mentally active seniors, those who read, write, or engage in problem solving, had a much slower rate of cognitive decline, even if their brains showed signs of Alzheimer's disease. The mind, like the body, needs exercise, and neglect leads to decline. If this pillar feels weak, start small. Read something new every day. Write your memories down. Challenge yourself with a puzzle or a song or a new language. The brain doesn't stop growing unless you stop feeding it. And then there's your sense of purpose, that quiet but powerful force that makes you feel like you still matter, that your days are building towards something. A 2019 study published in JAMA Network Open followed nearly 7,000 older adults and found that those with a strong sense of purpose had lower mortality rates, better sleep, and reduced risk of heart disease. Think about that. Purpose is not some lofty idea. It's directly tied to your heart, your body, your life. If you wake up in the morning without clarity, without something to look forward to, without the sense that you are needed or contributing, then this pillar may be asking for your attention. Purpose can be as simple as teaching a grandchild how to cook, or volunteering twice a month, or keeping a journal that your family can one day read. You don't have to change the world, just show up for something meaningful. Friendship is another pillar that quietly crumbles when we don't protect it. As we age, friends move. Some pass away, and some just fade out of touch. It's easy to accept loneliness as the new normal, but it is dangerous. The U.S. Surgeon General issued a warning in 2023 about the rising health risks of social isolation. According to the CDC, loneliness can increase the risk of dementia by 50%, heart disease by 29%, and stroke by 32%. Those are not small numbers, they are loud warnings. If this is your weakest pillar, don't wait for someone else to call you. Be the one who reaches out. Join a walking group. Call an old friend. Send a letter. Reconnect with someone who once made you laugh. Your health depends on it. Then there is your attitude toward aging. This one is tricky because so much of what we believe about aging comes from the outside. The commercials, the doctors, the mirrors. But how you speak about yourself, how you think about this season of life, matters more than you know. In a groundbreaking study led by Dr. Becca Levy at Yale, researchers found that older adults who had positive beliefs about aging lived over 7 years longer than those with negative views. Think about that. More than 7 years, just because of mindset. So ask yourself, do you greet your wrinkles with resentment or gratitude? Do you look at your changing body with shame or reverence? Do you believe you are still growing or that your time is done? If this pillar is weak, begin changing your inner dialogue. Speak to yourself as someone worthy of respect, because you are. And finally, the spiritual life. Often the quietest pillar, but sometimes the most cracked. Not everyone talks about it, but most people feel the weight of its absence. You don't have to attend church every Sunday or meditate for an hour every morning. But there must be something in your life that lifts your gaze, something that reminds you that you are part of a bigger story. The gerontologist published a review showing that older adults with regular spiritual practices experience fewer depressive symptoms, greater resilience, and better physical functioning. That might be prayer, or nature, or quiet reflection. If this pillar feels weak, begin with 5 minutes of silence, a single candle, a line of scripture, a moment of breath, anything that helps you feel connected, anything that makes life feel meaningful again. Now take a moment. After hearing all of that, which pillar spoke to you the most? Which one made your heart ache just a little? That's probably where your soul is pointing you, not to shame you, not to overwhelm you, but to invite you back into balance. You do not need to rebuild every pillar at once, just one, just the one that is weakest. Because once you give it care, the rest of your life begins to align with strength. You are not too old to grow. You are not too late to change. These years are still yours, and your foundation, your true support, comes not from what others do for you, but from what you do for yourself. So ask again, and answer with honesty and courage. Which of these 6 pillars is the weakest in your life right now? Then choose to begin there, quietly, gently, today.